Sausage.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of First, the show where I, Mark Kuznez, gives you my first impressions on a game, and this here episode is all about the Serpent Rogue, a game where you take on the role of a plague doctor who needs to discover all the resources in order to make all the potions in an attempt to stop all the corruption of the Serpent Rogue from spreading, or something like that. The game tells you the bare minimum, throws you into the deep end, and makes a terrible first impression, followed by a decent second impression, only to throw it all away with a bad third impression. The first time I had control over my character, I died. Twice. While trying to get to a carriage that would take me to the beginning of the real game. Why did I die twice? Because it was literally the first time I had control of my character and I had no idea how anything worked. The game told me to run in the only direction I could go, but it didn't tell me how to run until I already wasted half the time briskly jogging. But that was fine, there was nothing trying to kill me yet, so whether I was running, briskly jogging, or merely walking, didn't really matter. However, as soon as I could run, the game decided to attack me from all directions with the corruption I was so sure wouldn't manage to kill me, because why would the game kill you before you've even started the real game? Unless, of course, I was supposed to die there and would wake up in the real game upon arrival. I did die. And I did revive, except I just revived back to where I started a minute ago, so I wasn't supposed to die there, I said, internally, realizing my death wasn't part of the plan, and attempted to survive the death run, now with the gained knowledge of knowing I wasn't supposed to die there. Attempt failed. Death achieved. Return to go, and do not collect your $200. What the hell am I missing? I asked myself. It was then I experimented with a run system to see if there was an endurance system or something similar. There is, and while the game only tells you to hold a certain button in order to run, it doesn't tell you that you'll quickly run out of stamina, and if you keep holding the run button, you won't start running again when your stamina is refilled unless you let go of the run button and then rehold it. I guess this was my bad for assuming one thing without paying attention to the UI, but a simple on-screen prompt informing me of said endurance system also would have been nice, because I sure as shit wasn't paying super close attention in a situation I was so sure the game would never let me die in, because why would a game let me die for no reason within minutes of handing over the controls to me? Bad first impression made. Thankfully, my impression of the game after that initial bad one was kind of good. The main crux of the game revolves around gathering resources, researching them in order to discover their uses, and crafting both potions and tools in order to rid the world of the corruption that is plaguing it. You being a plague doctor of some sort who isn't part of the living world, thus your ability to return upon death. Speaking of death, death works very much so like a Souls game where if you die, you lose all your possessions and must return to the place of your demise in order to reclaim all that was lost. If you die again before successfully reclaiming said possessions, they're lost forever and you're basically back at square one. I like gathering resources. I like crafting. I like games where I'm thrown into a world and I'm asked to do both of these, so I was liking the Serpent Rogue. But the key word there is was. I was liking it. It wasn't without its rough edges, but after its rocky start, it seemed like it might be a relaxing, enjoyable little resource gatherer slash crafter, but those feelings quickly changed when combat came into play, when I realized there was an encumbrance system, and when I felt the oppression of the game's unwillingness to offer even the smallest of helping hands. Combat is super simple with a basic attack, a basic block, and that's it. If there's more to it than that, I never discovered it with my minimal amount of experimentation, though I can say with certainty there is no type of dodge or avoidance mechanic, which is greatly desired. Potions play a part in combat as well, of course, but only if you have potions, and until you discover and learn recipes, blindly attempting potion making will more often than not lead to sloppy, unusable potions. Because of its simplicity and an endurance system that requires regular eating to keep at max levels, combat is never fun, and yet engaging in combat is a significant part of the game, as you'll be fighting anything from corrupted chickens to corrupted humans and even the corrupted beasts every now and again. Thankfully, there is a companion system that allows you to bring followers with you to aid you in your adventure, except I sure shit never figured out how it worked, and as we've discussed already, the game has no interest in helping you, so I just ran around all by my lonesome because I couldn't figure out anything, even though at one point it sure seemed like I was able to make these smaller animals follow this larger beast, but getting anything to follow me, what a laugh that was. And so I beat my head against the wall of the Serpent Rogue systems for about an hour and a half before calling it quits. I don't have a problem with the game telling you little to nothing, leaving the bulk of discovery in your hands, but it doesn't work in the Serpent Serpent Rogue. It doesn't work because combat sucks and gets in the way too often. It doesn't work because the encumbered system sucks and gets in the way almost immediately. Tangent, encumbered systems almost always suck and encumber one's ability to enjoy a game as much as they encumber a character's ability to carry an insanely ridiculous number of items on their person as opposed to just a mildly insane number of items on their person. For example, there is no logic in being able to carry 99 iron pots in Skyrim but suddenly becoming encumbered when you make it 100 iron pots. These are obviously not exact numbers, but just some random numbers I'm using to make a point, so don't actually me with the actual number of iron pots or whatever the fuck you can carry on you in Skyrim when level 1. Long story short, encumbrance is stupid, more often than not hurts a game instead of benefiting it, and should be avoided unless you've cracked the code and figure out how to make encumbrance interesting without being annoying. And that's where I'm left with the Serpent Rogue. I can see a game there I'd like and maybe even love, but the game gets in its own way too often despite leaving much of the game into you. It feels like a first draft and maybe with a few updates, or if we get a follow-up game, maybe there'll be something there I can both enjoy and recommend. I certainly hope that's the case. Anyway, that will do it for this here episode of First. Once again, I am Marcus Nez. Y'all can find all my links of import over at pixelatedsausage.com/pxs. And of course, if you're watching the video version of this on the YouTubes, do like, subscribe, hit the bell, and all that jazz if you haven't already. I stream on the YouTubes as well, and you can see me streaming games like the Serpent Rogue and much more. And of course, if you like any of the stuff I do and what have you, you can go to patreon.com/pxs and support me and my nonsense that way. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I definitely probably should have drank something prior to recording this, as you can obviously tell by my voice. But that is it. That's all. Bye!